Afternoon, and you're very welcome to the program. You're listening to SIRAJ ZAIDI until 4 o'clock local time and India time around 8:30. So there you go. And welcome back to the program. Another week, another program, another news, another entertainment. And continue. The world goes around with the information and entertainment. The news, the world, the world of the news never stops because the channels, the people who are babbling like myself on air forever, are concerned about things. And this is the key and the rub about it, the why we are so mad about telling you something, what has been going on in the world. Well, that's the business we are in. So there you go. So Charmaine, you are here in the studio. Take it away. The news of the week. So I'll be back soon as the news is over. Sit back, relax, and listen to the news of the week from India.
Good afternoon, I'm Charmaine Colvin and you are listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. On India this week, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP party has claimed victory in West Bengal in India's state election earlier this week. Bengal voters have remained stubbornly resistant to the BJP until now, which makes this state election unusually consequential. With more than 100 million people, West Bengal's electorate is larger than Germany's, turning its election into something closer to a nation choosing a government than a routine Indian state poll. Monday's BJP victory will rank among the most significant breakthroughs of Modi's 12-year reign. It's not merely the defeat of a three-term incumbent, but the completion of a party's long march into eastern India. In Tamil Nadu, MK Stalin's DMK government was swept aside by actor-turned-politician Vijay and his fledgling TVK party, marking the dramatic return of film star politics to the state. In Kerala, the Congress-led United Democratic Front defeated the Left Democratic Front after 2 consecutive terms, ending the last remaining communist-led state government in India. Only in Assam did the BJP buck the broader anti-incumbent tide and retain power, while the party and its allies also held on to the federal territory of Puducherry. Bengal state has seen only one change of government in nearly half a century. The Communist Left Front ruled for 34 years before the Trinamool Congress, led by the firebrand populist Mamata Banerjee, dominated the next 15 years until now. Political scientists have long described Bengal as a system that favours hegemonic parties. For years, Banerjee's party forged a formidable social coalition. Women, Muslims and large sections of the Hindu vote across both rural and urban Bengal. This time, however, the BJP sought to directly challenge that advantage by promising larger cash transfers and expanded welfare benefits of its own. The widow of a businessman who was falsely accused of a 1997 murder has urged the Indian Prime Minister to back her family's bid to sue the Scottish authorities. Sugat Mukherjee was 44 when he died in West Bengal in 2023, almost 4 years after Tracy Wilde's real killer was brought to justice in Glasgow. Sugat's wife Apna said her husband's life was irreversibly destroyed after being labelled a suspect and is seeking compensation and an Indian government inquiry into the circumstances. Police Scotland said it did not comment on legal proceedings. Scottish prosecutors previously said they gave careful consideration to any reports of alleged criminal conduct which were submitted by the police. The Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service said action was taken if there was sufficient evidence of a crime and that cases were kept under review. Sugat had a successful career when he was told in 2014 that he was a wanted man on the other side of the world. In the weeks that followed, the father of three's life imploded as he became involved in a protracted extradition battle. Sugat's name was eventually cleared after a DNA breakthrough, but his family says he never recovered from the stigma. India has seen an alarming rise in a type of fraud called social engineering, where scammers dupe their victims using psychological manipulation, instilling fear and urgency. Nearly 2.5 million people have lost some $2.5 billion in 2025, a staggering 4,300% rise since 2021. The explosive jump in cases has finally prompted India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, to step in. In a discussion paper released earlier this month, the central bank said it was mulling several measures to tackle the problem. These include a 1-hour lag at the payer's end in account-to-account transactions and additional authentication by a trusted person for high-value digital payments by vulnerable sections of society, such as elderly people. Some experts say the proposals could end up having only a limited impact. Frauds have now moved to another level and are far more sophisticated. More regulation is only part of the solution, say experts. Doubling down on education, along with some of these measures, will be critical. India's population has been going digital at a rate that's much faster than safeguards or literacy have been able to keep pace. The central bank has been driving educational initiatives, roping in superstars like Amitabh Bachchan and using high viewership IPL cricket games to push through their campaigns. But more investment is needed in improving digital literacy, they argue. A first-of-its-kind study of dragonfly and damselfly species in India's Western Ghats, one of the world's most important biodiversity hotspots, has revealed findings that are both fascinating and worrying. The study, which was funded by the Indian government's Department of Science and Technology and held across 2 years, 21 to 23, and 5 Indian states, found that 143 different species of dragonflies and damselflies inhabit the Western Ghats, with at least 40 of them being endemic to the region, meaning they are found nowhere else in the world. But the researchers also discovered something troubling. At least 79 additional species that were previously reported in the region were not found, an almost 35% decline in the number of dragonfly and damselfly species in the Western Ghats. Pankaj Kapardi, an evolutionary ecologist who led the study, says that this could be because some of these species are extremely rare or active only in certain seasons and were missed by the researchers. But he also says that the decline could be due to a potential loss of species, meaning some of them have become extinct. Dragonflies and damselflies are good indicators of the health of a region. Consequently, when their numbers drop, it could signal the potential degradation of an ecosystem, Kapardi says. The Western Ghats, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is a 1,600-kilometre-long mountain range that stretches along India's western coast. It is one of India's most important wetlands and home to at least 325 globally threatened species and more than 30% of India's plant and animal species. And finally, India is currently experiencing a peculiar social phenomenon, Diet Coke parties. The celebrations are becoming the latest trend in bars and restaurants, fueled by a social media buzz surrounding a shortage of the popular soft drink. The scarcity is reportedly linked to the ongoing Iran war, which has disrupted supply chains, particularly through the Strait of Hormuz. Unlike many other global markets, Diet Coke in India is exclusively sold in cans, rendering it more susceptible to such shipping interruptions. While limited quantities can still be found online, the overall supply remains constrained. This unusual shortage has presented an opportunity for Indian pubs and social media influencers. And that's all from me. You have been listening to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM.
Thank you so much indeed, Charmaine, for lovely, lovely items that you put together. And indeed, the Bengal, the last one of them. When I say last, not last, but not least, but one of the major state and the West Bengal had been at the mind of BJP for so long, and the open challenges and digs of Didi, oh Didi, oh Mamta, sun le kaan khol ke. These kind of nonsense were going on, but they were effective, I suppose, in terms of wooing the voters, and that's the dirty election, dirty politics exist in India. What can I say? Mamta Banerjee is the one who lost, and she was supposed to be holding at least 250 seats or 225 seats to make a majority government of Trinamool Congress Party, but she has not able to gain. I'm not sure who else managed to secure their seats, likes of Mahua Moitra, who's one of my favorite Speaker of the Parliament and the Member of the Parliament from the Nandigram area, and all the other. I'm interested in Bengal, West Bengal, because West Bengal is a very interesting state with the mix of religion and population and dichotomy and rich and poor and all the rest of it. But West Bengal has always been the for BJP, the kind of thing that they always wanted to dominate. But it's not all very well sort of like straightforward, as the reports are coming up, that lakhs and lakhs, hundreds and thousands of voters have been made null and void. Their, ballot papers, their identity has been removed from the live registered, and the Election Commission has played, again, dirty game here as well, just like in other states in the past. So this is the norm, and this is the name of the game, is that if you have an army, if you have an upper hand, there is a saying in Hindi language, jiski lathi uski bhens. In other words, the one who is a mighty, the one who had a stick, and the buffalo belongs to that. It doesn't matter who owns the buffalo, but if you can actually honk the buffalo, you can own it. And that's exactly what happened here. Thousands and thousands of army has been sent over to meddle, and the meddling of the election happened. And so one of the guys actually were talking about it on the social media. He said, what's the point of having election? There's no reason. There's no point of having election. Just, send the army, scare the people, remove the voters, and you'll win the election, landslide victory, and that's it. So that's what goes the democracy down the drain. As all the papers are saying, all the intellectuals are saying, all the the people with some sense of responsibility are saying that this is just not acceptable, the way electoral campaigns are going and elections are conducted in India. Anyway, that is a big thing, and that is need to be watched. That's what's going to happen. What we dread is that after the landslide victory, just like in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, of course, in Uttar Pradesh and Delhi and Haryana, all of these places, the elections has been conducted and landslide victories happened because the way Election Commission had played the part in that. Now, that is something disturbing for the world to understand, but the world has got its own problem. And I'll look into that in a minute, because I have a direct feed, should I say, from Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister of Iran, who has been talking about the state of affair, why the situation is getting so muddy and complex, despite the fact that it's a ceasefire exists, and despite the fact that the war is stopped. But has it stopped? Listen to Abbas Araghchi, what he has to say, and we'll talk about that after this wonderful comments that he's actually talking about it. So sit back, relax, and see the real estate. This has happened as of literally yesterday in Istanbul.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad to be with you this morning. Actually, we invited you yesterday for a briefing on the latest developments on the ground, and of course on diplomatic process. Because I came here from Geneva, where we had our first ministerial meeting of Iran E3, and then I had here yesterday lots of useful, important meetings with the foreign ministers of our region, and we discussed about different initiatives and ideas existed for a peaceful settlement of this question. But as all of you know, we suddenly faced with the aggression by American forces to our nuclear facilities. The Islamic Republic of Iran condemns in the strongest terms the United States' brutal military aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities. It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. The US military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state carried out with genocidal Israeli regime, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continues to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just US military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime. While President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world, he has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives. The US act of aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities constitutes not only a flagrant breach of the UN Charter, especially the prohibition of the use of force under Article 2, Paragraph 4, and the obligation to respect the state's territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also a violation of UN Security Council Resolution 2231. It cannot be emphasized enough how much of a devastating blow that the US, a permanent member of the Security Council, has dealt to the global non-proliferation regime. The Islamic Republic of Iran reminds the United Nations, the Security Council, the UN Secretary General, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and other relevant international bodies of their duty and responsibility to take urgent and decisive action in response to this breach of international law. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression will plunge the world into an unprecedented level of danger and chaos. Humanity has come too far as a species to allow a lawless bully to take us back to the law of the jungle. The Islamic Republic of Iran calls on the Security Council to convene an emergency session to unequivocally condemn the criminal act of aggression by the United States against Iran and to hold the administration in Washington accountable for its violations of fundamental principles of United Nations Charter and of norms of international law. The responsibility of the IAEA and its Director General, who through evident bias in favor of warmongering parties paved the way for the current violence and bloodshed, is now clearer than ever. We call on the IAEA Board of Governors to immediately convene and carry out its legal responsibility in response to the dangerous US attack on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, all of which have been under the agency's full safeguards and monitoring. The world must not forget that it was the United States which, in the midst of a process to forge a diplomatic outcome, betrayed diplomacy by supporting the genocidal Israeli regime's launch of an illegal war of aggression on the Iranian nation. Not content with such malign actions, the United States itself has now also opted for a dangerous military operation and aggression against the people of Iran. In doing so, the US administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions, including the Islamic Republic of Iran's right to self-defense under the principles of the United Charter. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all options to defend its security, interests, and people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And so that was it. Because this is something happened literally yesterday in Istanbul, an international conference, and the shuttle diplomacy and the frantic, as I said, the peace effort has been going around the world, and people are beginning to realize the true picture of this kind of behavior, which has been going on for a long time without unchecked. And because the complacency of the European nations and the world, and particularly the United Nations. Now, United Nations, as you know, is becoming a toothless organization, not only issuing their statements and resolution, which has not been dared to, and therefore has been torn apart and is subdued its effort, particularly from the White House. And that's something which is disturbing, because if that's not the case, then the law of jungle exists, and then people can do what they like. And this is something which is disturbing, and all over the world that we are beginning to see that type of behavior of the nations. However, all the hopes are not lost, because we in Europe also hold substantial, power and substantial intellectual powerhouse and, reasoning for making a peace in the world. Because of that, I think another recent summit that happened in Armenia about the Second World War, after the Second World War, this is particularly a very serious matter. However, the world never listen or learn and continue to behave the way they want to behave. What I've discovered recently is that Donald Trump and his Epstein company of Epstein gang are nothing but the brutal merchant and looters, and they are mercilessly basically destroying the wealth of their own nation, the current administration, and spending billions and billions and millions, hundreds of millions on the ballrooms and all that, and cutting the budget for the education, health, and job losses that has been going on in the U.S. and in the name of U.S. first, and nothing but it's Israel first, not U.S. first, and this is what disturbing, that what and why they are beginning. Perhaps it's a family business, as you can see that. And the headman starts the war. The son opens up the factory of making drones, and sells the share. And son-in-law shares get investment from Saudi Arabia. $2 billion from the MBS, Mohammed bin Sultan, as we know him. Invested in his company, $2 billion. I mean, hello, why? But because that's what they are. They are looters. They are colonial mentality, and they just go around the world like Venezuela. One of the largest reserve oil in the world is Venezuela, and they have taken over their oil. What they're going to do with that? Nobody's talking about that ever since they have taken over the Venezuelan oil and wealth. But they came to the shores of at the door of Iran and thought that they could get away with literally with a murder, as they had been, threatening with a mighty power. But Iran is not a country which you can threaten with power, because they understand the meaning of power. Anyway, that's a very long debate issue, and I don't want to go into the details. Some other time we'll talk about that. Particularly today, I am, reasoning out the two things. A, the might is right. might is right in India as we have seen it, and that how the might is right and the technology and the current situation in India using the social media and all that, how it's misguiding people because in everybody's hand we have handles, so-called the handheld phones, and that social media is literally destroying it. Sharath has actually put together a very nice piece of information about that, and I am willing to play that as soon as I finish. And that's something which is very interesting. That that what's going on in India. So anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy this particular piece by Sharath Wastif, our London correspondent from London. Our correspondent, our view. Our correspondent, Apna Radio Broadcasting, 93.9 Dublin South FM. But this correspondence is ace when it comes to our own material.
These are interesting times. People are puzzled across the world when it is defying logic, whether it is the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, or it is the blockade of Hormuz, or it's the war on Iran, or the election of few world leaders in the democracies, in the strong democracies where it is assumed that people are using their rational brain. Whether there are economists who are governing the central banks, or whether there are behaviors of celebrity personalities across the world. Many of these are beyond the normal ways and behavior of what the world has seen for centuries together. As a result, we are seeing that today the world is standing on its head. Each and every household across the world is suffering, is under a kind of economic stress, is under humanitarian stress as a consequence of economic stress. The households, nook and corner of the world, are struggling to find a normal life. So all these logic-defying events and crises that we are seeing today, I thought I will sit down and put it into a perspective as to why it is happening and try to find out answers, try to fit into a frame, a concept that will give some kind of reasoning to the rational behavior of humans of today. So I came across a German philosopher called Arthur Schopenhauer. So he was born in 1788, so that's like long time ago, 250 years ago roughly. According to the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, the world is characterized by a manifestation of blind and irrational knowledgeable will of people. So that is where I would like to start, and then I will try to bring in examples how they are fitting into Arthur Schopenhauer's philosophies. So what I have understood from Arthur Schopenhauer's philosophy, they all lead to uncomfortable conclusions, and that currently the human beings are not rational citizens who are shaping democracies, but they are driven by rationalizing impulses after the facts have been given to them. So what is happening is the masses are exposed to a machinery that is creating a mass behavior. And if you see the architecture of modern social media, idea is able to create a formula for public life, political mobilization, and very specifically the industrialization of the attention, the economics of attention seeking by the social media. So billions of dollars are earned by the social media companies and the social media influencers because they are running an attention economy. Each second that they are able to gather your attention on social media pays them. And that is what the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer had been able to predict some 250 years ago. So according to him, there is an irrational, blind force which is driving all the actions, and it is not guided by reason. So simplifying it, in modern times, social media platforms do not appeal to a reason. They only stimulate the propensity to the will of rational thinking. So there are outrages in social media. There's a desire, there's a fear, there is a status where people post their holiday pictures. There is a fear about losing one's religion. There is an outrage to an incident. So these are not accidents, but these are used as a trigger points. So during a crisis, these users react instantaneously before even verification of the truth behind those events. So what the social media is doing is it is pushing the behavior to impulsive, not deliberative, not thinking. And this is where the politicians exploit this by posting emotionally charged messages that bypasses rational scrutiny. So you remember the Indian Prime Minister talking about Mangal Sutra, about Machli, about Mujra. You see? So these are stimulants. These create an outrage with people without creating a rational thinking about it, without going into the facts. It has been a year and a half since those words were told. But do we see any evidence of all the three words that the Indian Prime Minister had used in one of the public rallies? According to the philosophical point, democracy assumes basically that there are rational citizens. But then, according to Schopenhauer, the citizens are driven first and then some of them may bring about a rational behavior later. And between these two steps, the gap is being used to create a manipulation. And that's where the Indian politics is thriving. The other philosophy that Schopenhauer observes is that the life oscillates between the desire, temporary satisfaction and boredom. And after that, a new desire appears again. So there is a cycle of liking, getting bored, and then liking again. So what the social media currently has done is, it has created or rather mirrored a algorithm, a programming for the social media feeds. How does it work is, you swipe and then you get something good, some novelty, and it delivers a fleeting few seconds of satisfaction. After a couple of swipes, they will push something which is boring. And then you say, oh, this is not good enough. The same excitement as I got 5 reels before. So in order to pursue for something better, you swipe again. And this cycle continues over and over again into an infinite scrolling. Overall, what is happening is the system monetizing the very instability that is being pushed into the masses brains, into their behavior. And this is what the philosopher Schopenhauer has described, that there is a temporary satisfaction and a boredom, and this cycle continues over and over again. All the social media users, which today's statistics say are roughly more than half the population of the world, they are in state of permanent agitation. They are not resolving anything. They are not solving a problem. They are always in a heightened state of irritation, frustration, and agitation. And that is why we are seeing very abnormal behavior in the masses, in the rationality. The other one, where Schopenhauer actually argues, people want to act according to their will. They think they are acting to their own will, but they cannot choose their own will. They cannot choose what they want to do. Although it appears as a free opinion, but this is all a manufactured and a conditioned behavior. And let me explain this. During the elections in countries like US and India, these great democracies, the opinion may appear to be organic, but because they are shaped by coordinated messaging ecosystems, there are influencers, then there are bots, then there are programmed algorithmic amplifications. So one issue becomes trending. In fact, if you go on X, on the right hand side, you see the topics which are trending. These are algorithmic amplification of the issues. And the individual behaves that they are forming opinion on those trending issues. But no, they are in an informational environment that is only narrowing. And they are all without research, without deliberation. They are a stimuli. They are not freedom. They are to bring about guided spontaneity. So this is how the social media is playing today, formally, in order to create an attention economy. What we are seeing on social media is only a minor, hairbreadth representation of the events. It's a hyper accelerated system of simplifying and bringing an image of the reality. So during the conflicts, these clips, these images, these sound bites, they circulate in millions of times. And a single video from a war zone that is repurposed from different angles using AI or even generally to support a contradictory narrative. So we do not know exactly at that moment whether that is true or not. So it is only a representation that is coming to us than an actual event which has happened. The misinformation campaign relies only on those controlling shades of representation. They are not the truth or the whole truth. They are only to frame only a piece of reality to win public perception. And this public perception over a period of time, if pushed heavily by the social media, by the people who are spending money on those social media, are able to win the misinformation war. So according to the philosopher Schopenhauer, there has to be a distinguished relation between the representation of the event as we are seeing on the social media and the actual event. Now this one is the last one I will talk today. So the philosopher Schopenhauer believes that art offers temporary escape from the tyranny of the will. What this means is that entertainment of any kind that functions as a mass sedation. Entertainment of any sort that involves the masses actually is giving them an opium to move away from crisis. Does it ring the bell? We are seeing this tool in the use of football in the West. Be there any crisis, any economic crisis. The Ukraine-Russia war is continuing. The war in Middle East is going on. We are seeing boat people coming into Europe. People are dying while crossing the Mediterranean. But the football matches are houseful. And it is for the same clubs which have been playing matches for last 100 years. But then people, instead of deliberating, asking questions to their government, why this economic crisis, they are in opium. They are mass sedated because of the entertainment. In India, we may have financial crisis. The price of cylinder has risen in one day by rupees 993. But then the IPL is giving the mass opium to the people of India. They are forgetting that there is a serious crisis that is going on. And this crisis is just not for a day. It is going to last for months together. And the effect, the consequences of the war on Iran is going to hamper the life of Indians for at least a year from now if the war ends today. But then the kind of response that we are seeing in IPL, it is no less than living in fool's paradise. It's a fantasy world. The government is also pushing entertainment in the films like Dhurandhar. In a fantasy world, the country is winning the war. In the fantasy world, the country is winning the espionage war. In the fantasy world, the country is a Vishwaguru. But what the facts are on the ground lies in the statistics, in the numbers, in the government policies, in the reaction of the world, other economies. I do not want to go into details of the geopolitics, but the fact of the matter is the masses in India, although they are suffering, they do not know the difference between their suffering and truth. The fact of the matter is that entertainment is being pushed into the lives of Indians, whether it is movies, Bollywood, or it is cricket. And it is actually resetting the emotional states without resolving the underlying issues. And this, according to the philosopher, is not liberation. It is a controlled relief. It is a painkiller tablet for the day. And the population is oscillating between outrage when in the day they are queuing up for the gas cylinders or paying heavily for the price hikes, and in the evening are distracted with the entertainment of the movies or by the games. So the individuals are where they are. Some bright ones have been able to understand how to manage either through social media algorithms or through their strategies to manage the masses using all these tools, all these methods, because basically 99% of the humans, although try to use their rational brain, are not really rational. And that is where the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer actually puts in together or justifies the behavior of today's world, today's India, in a philosophy that he wrote some 250 years ago. With that piece of information, with that piece of my rational thinking, I leave you until next week. Keep thinking, stay safe, stay strong, keep asking questions. At the end of the day, somebody has to stand up. Bye for now.
Dublin South FM. You wouldn't buy a car without knowing its history. So why would you buy a story without knowing who's telling it? Come here and I tell you. It's not always easy to verify what you see, read, or hear. But now, there's help. Visit www.bemediasmart.ie. Stop, think, check. Be Media Smart. Brought to you by Media Literacy Ireland, supported by RTE.
93.9 Dublin South FM.
The last song of the Mehfil, or rather I can say the Qawwali of the Mehfil. Qawwali and Sufi music has also different ways of its being expressive. It has its own meanings as well, which is it is a dedication to the divine God, or say the divine energies. That is how the Qawwali and the Sufi song had probably emerged centuries and centuries back. This song is something that I am bringing right from Bangladesh. The singer is Runa Laila. She's a Bangladeshi singer. She has had her practice and music in Pakistan, and now her music is also celebrated in India. This is something which I am always fascinated by, that music has no boundaries, it has no limitations, it rather breaks the limitations. We have the song which is dedicated by again a lyricist to his guru. The guru is called, and the name of him is Lal Shabazz. It is also referred as Jule Lal in Hindus. I think few of you are already joining the dots and connecting the dots of which the Qawwali might be. This Qawwali is where Isha and Arun are also getting back to their stage, where they are not only expressing what they have for each other, but are also reminiscing the love towards the divine and saying whatever happens, happens for a reason. And let's celebrate the song which we used to get in the field of ecstasy, where Mast Kalandar is where you live it all on God, you live it all on divine energies, and you say, wherever you are, whenever you are, everything is mast when the Kalandar is in front of me. This song is also a good interwoven, say, sort of stories where there is elements from India as well as Pakistan. Hind Sindh is going to come up in one of the antras, where Hind is where we have river from Hindustan and Sindh is from Pakistan. This is where you also get to see the harmony between different religions, cultures, countries, and this is how where music brings in the elements of harmony.
रखियो बाला झूले लालड़ हो लाल मेरी पत रखियो बाला झूले लालड़ सिंदड़ी दा सेवर दा सखी शाबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर हो लाल मेरी पत रखियो बाला झूले शाबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर हो लाल मेरी लाल मेरी चिराग तेरे परन हमेशा चार चिराग तेरे परन हमेशा पंजवा में बारण आइयो बला झूले लालण ओ पंजवा में बारण ओ पंजवा में बारण आइयो बला झूले लालण सिंदड़ी दा सेवरे दा सखी शाबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर हो लाल मेरी पीरा तेरे
जी मेरे भाइयों, that is a very, very old, qawwali, as we know, as the singer says that. And this has been sung as a tradition to all the concerts of qawwali and musical mahfils that happens. And in the last item is this particular Shahbaz Qalandar, which is sung by Runa Lala, sung by, Muhammad Rafi, sung by many, 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 many singers. And it's still been beautifully sung by this particular young lady, which I really commend that she has got a long way to go. But this is a beautiful, beautiful Sati Shahbaz Qalandar. Bulle Shah, I think, is the writer of this qawwali. So music tradition, as I said, it's really what she's talking about is the merger of the religion and culture through music, basically. This is what it is. And music is also the blender of these two things. So we have lots of music lined up again. Our own Mukesh Sadabahar Geet, forever green, evergreen songs of Mukesh are here. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this particular track, and I'll be back soon.
अकेला तेरा मेला पीछे छूटा राही चल अकेला चल अकेला चल अकेला चल अकेला तेरा मेला पीछे छूटा राही चल अकेला That is called the Chal Akela Tera Mela Piche Chuta. That is a very philosophical song, but what it means is that if nothing else works out, you just, go on in life on your own and don't worry about the Mela means the people who follow you, the people you belong to, the group, the whatever. You just go on your own and start the life and the journey on your own, and then you would be able to succeed in whatever you want to do because other people will join you. And that is the logic of anything, what you do in life, that if you are successful and have a noble intention of doing something, really doesn't matter which part of which part of life you are talking about, you continue it, whether it's profession, job, family, you name it, and you start something very interesting and then people will follow. Anyway, there's another wonderful song that I would like to play today is Duniya Banane Wale Kahe Ko Tune Duniya Banai. Anyway, this particular song is about the somebody who's talking about that why the God has actually made the world and what was the big idea for him to make the world. Because the way the state of affair of the world is everybody knows in front of everybody. So this is another beautiful song. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this particular track. काहे को दुनिया बनाई तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई
दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई काहे को दुनिया बनाई तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई काहे बनाए तूने माटी के पुतले धरती ये प्यारी प्यारी मुखड़े ये उजले काहे बनाया तूने दुनिया का खेला काहे बनाया तूने दुनिया का खेला जिसमें लगाया जवानी का मेला गुपचुप तमाशा देखे वाहर तेरी खुदाई काहे को दुनिया बनाई तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई काहे को दुनिया बनाई तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई तड़पा होगा मन को बनाकर तूफान ये प्यार का मन में छुपा कर कोई छवि तो होगी आंखों में तेरी कोई छवि तो होगी आंखों में तेरी आंसू भी छलके होंगे पलकों से तेरी बोल क्या सूझी तुझको काहे को प्रीत जगाई काहे को दुनिया बनाई तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई काहे को दुनिया बनाई तूने काहे को दुनिया बनाई
So this writer is asking the question, particularly the singer is a beautiful singer, Mukesh, who's no longer around with us. But he said that why did you make it? What was the big idea behind making this world? And so he's really questioning the world that, and that's dilemma for everybody to some point in time in their lives. You question this world, and then you question that why. If you believe that the God has made this world, then why did he make this world anyway? And what kind of world we are living in? What kind of world we have become to that anybody could, kill anybody, anybody out there, destroy any country, take their wealth, bloody, bloody, blah, you name it. I mean, the news and media is full of that, channels is full of that. Anyway, we here at the Dublin South FM trying to actually make the world a better place. And this is the hope that I am hopeful, optimistic, and indeed believe in that one should live in a happy world. Doesn't matter what the world you live in. In fact, everybody has their own world, as they say that you live in your own world, I live in my own world, and my world is better than your world, my world is happy. Bottom line is happy. Happiness, satisfaction, and indeed to make towards, do something in order to make this world a better place, and be activist. Not to sit on your laurels just because you have made pots of money, but just because you are successful in your career and that you have nothing else going around the world, popping around the globe and eating in a good restaurants or staying in a good hotels. What the hell? What's the problem? I mean, what point is that? You're only pushing the economy of that country where you're going. But what exactly are you doing in order to make the world a better place? This is what the bottom line is. From my point of view, at least, I try to make, and if you believe in certain norm, certain set of norm, certain religious norms, because this particular religion is something which is very, very, very confusing world. It doesn't matter how many religion you count on, how many, but people are literally still are fighting the religious war. This is what Pete Hegseth said that in his recent speeches. And they perceived that Iran is an enemy of the world, Iran is making a nuclear, blah, 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 blah. And do you know what nuclear? Hello, we are trying to actually set up our own nuclear mini reactor here in Ireland. Anyway, that's another big chapter. Bye for now and enjoy this particular track.
रखियो बाला झूले लालड़ हो लाल मेरी पत रखियो बाला झूले लालड़ सिंदड़ी दा सेवन दा सखी शाबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर हो लाल मेरी पत रखियो बाला झूले दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा